Back on the Chamber Report, time now for our next segment, and I told you it's one of our award-winning businesses, one of our Business of the Years from 2021, and in fact, this was the plaque that was recently awarded at that annual meeting that I talked about. And for this one, it is our 2021 Service Business of the Year, and the winner is Connexus Energy, based out of Ramsey. With us, we've got the big guy. We got the CEO, Greg Ridderbusch. And Greg, congratulations, #1 on the award. Well-deserved. And for most of you out there watching, how do you get to be a Business of the Year? Well, it's somebody who participates heavily in the Chamber of Commerce and gives, supports some of the many events they do. Well, Connexus does this times 10, way up in the stratosphere, and we threw it out. We came to 3 finalists in each of our categories, and then we threw it out to the membership. Connexus Energy was the one who won, and it was such a pleasure to recognize Connexus Energy as our Service Business of the Year. Any reflections for you, Greg, on the past year? I know that COVID was in play for all of us, and it was in play with Connexus as well.
It sure was. I would like to recognize, though, the award. You know, what was so meaningful to us is being selected by our peers. Mm-hmm. And when you're a cooperative, it is all about service to your members. And you know what? We have that in common.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's what made it so meaningful to us. And this past year, like every other business and every other family, we've been dealing with the pandemic, and aren't we all getting tired of talking about that?
Sure.
But when you're an electric utility, it makes you reflect. We know that we're an essential service business, but 91% of our ownership, our service members, are residential, and we just knew a lot of them were there at home, and how important is electricity when you're at home, schooling your kids, keeping the lights on, and you're there and you're stuck. Electricity is important. And on the utility side, we knew you just don't call up your utility and they say, well, our folks are sick, we can't come right now. We had to operate so that we could always keep the lights on for our members, and we did. And that was something that just makes you reflect on, when you're serving members, how important that is.
Boy, and it was so huge. I think of the time that I had to spend home when we transitioned the entire office of the Anoka Area Chamber of Commerce out of our offices to this phone, my laptop, Tammy Flagger, my administrative assistant's laptop. Everything came home. Well, guess what? Needed electricity to get that going, and it worked. And so what Connexus did is hidden. You don't think about it. If you didn't have a problem, they did their job. If you had a problem, and many times unforeseen, they dealt with the problem. And that's what Connexus Energy has always done since the time going all the way back to my days with Anoka Electric Cooperative. And one of the founding players there that hired me, a guy by the name of Ray Rudrud, was a chair of the board of directors at that time. Now I'm dating myself. Hey, I want to get back to Connexus. You have 2 huge, this is such cool news. You guys have attracted millions of dollars in investment in the Anoka area. 2 new large-scale solar projects, sunflower projects. Greg, tell us about those.
Well, what drives that, and we're talking about new solar energy, is our members tell us, we want you to be greener, but we don't want it to cost anymore. And we're able to do that now with solar. And so this is a project where the panels face the sun in the morning, and like a sunflower, they track the sun during the day. And so in this area, they get a lot more energy for the same project, same asset. And the thing that's special about these, they're in Princeton and St. Francis. It's divided between 2 parts. It's a philosophy of make it here, generate it here, use it here, and the benefits stay here. And what I mean by that, you can drive around the country, you can see wind turbines, you can see solar, but the folks that are there in those communities, the land rents are going to the communities, the energy is going to the communities, the arrays themselves are built up with prairie plantings to make them friendly to the agriculture that's around the area. Yeah. The philosophy at the heart of the project is save money and local benefits, and that's what's special about the Princeton and St. Francis arrays that we call Sunflower 1 and Sunflower 2.
So cool. Hey, you had a major announcement earlier this year announcing unanimous board of directors vote to get out there and pursue competitive wholesale power. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
I'll say a little. It's a big subject. We're working hard on it. I think most know, especially in the business community, that the business of electricity has changed. And there's a big transition going on for clean energy. The costs of electricity have come down. There's some kinds of electricity that we don't necessarily want on the grid long-term anymore because of its carbon. And so what Connexus Energy leadership and our board spent the last 2 years looking at is how can we get the cost of our wholesale power more competitive, and in so doing, have the flexibility to do some of the things that members are expecting, which is to green the grid over time and have lower carbon. And our power today, and it has been provided for many years from an organization called Great River Energy, and they've done a good job of it. But you know what? Time moves on, and practices move on. And so we are in the process of trying to find a new way to source our power, which would include Great River also, but trying to find a way to reduce its cost and to make it more flexible so we can do more things like battery storage and the solar projects I just mentioned. We can't do a lot of those. So it's really exciting. Our board is championing it, and it's all being done for our members. It's just a really energizing time right now.
I just got to believe that the world of energy is changing constantly, and it's really the duty of a member-owned utility like Connexus Energy to get out there, be aware of what's happening, looking toward the future of what can happen, and being ready to jump in and do what you can for that membership.
Well, and cooperatives, and thanks to all members who are listening, you own us, and we're doing some really cool things. And I'll give you 2 quick examples. One is, if you're thinking about an electric vehicle or already have one, we have a rate that says if you have an EV and you want just a single number per month, $26, $27, you charge your EV as much as you want between 9 and 9. No one else is really doing that. Very new way, and we want EV ownership to be easy. We want to be the most supportive and easiest utility to work with if you're an EV owner. So that's one.
Yep.
And the second one, real quick, is we're the only utility in the state that when the power gets extremely expensive on certain hours in the summer, we don't tell our members to reduce. We provide them an incentive to choose to reduce at their option, and we call it peak time rebate. We pay our members to reduce their use if they choose to, and then off their bill that month they get a reduction, and we're the only one doing it. A heck of a lot better. People hate like cycled air conditioning. Yeah. You know, it goes off at the worst time, and I'm hot, and there's a party going on. In this case, you choose how much you want to save, you choose how much you want to do, and then we will incent and reward our members that choose to do it that can each of those 3 summer months.
You know, throughout our talk here, we've talked about the fact that Connexus is a member-owned cooperative, and you hear about, you know, and you are an electric utility, but the key point here being is member-owned cooperative. Now, there's some big differences that exist, aren't there?
Sure. At least a couple that maybe are worth kind of highlighting. Member-owned means it's also democratic. So our board of directors is elected and voted upon by our members. Mm-hmm. So we just had a board meeting today, just came from it. And when management is sitting in the board meeting, guess who we're talking to and who we work for is our owners. Those directors are consumers. Those directors are setting our budgets, setting our rates, and it is a direct conversation, and they're acting on behalf of all the member owners. So that's a really important difference. And the other one is you economically participate in the cooperative. So in our case, we call it cash back, and depending upon how much you're purchasing over time, every year you get a credit on your August utility bill that's reflective of your participation as an owner in a cooperative. And members love that, and we do it on one of the more expensive months of the year, typically, August.
Sure.
And so economically participating, and we work for a board and for a membership, and we're owned by them. And it really is really bright line clear what we're supposed to do.
You bet. So not only are you the 2021 Service Business of the Year winner at the Anoka Area Chamber of Commerce, Connexus recently earned recognition for its environmental practices. Can you talk about that?
Briefly, happy to. So some of the things that we're doing with respect to the use of land, most people know, geez, I'm seeing wind go up and solar go up. And what's happening to those really valuable pieces of land that those projects are on? What we're doing instead is saying, how can we be the best steward of that land? If we're going to put something there, first of all, let's pick a piece of land, maybe that isn't the best piece of farmland in the county. Let's put it on land, maybe it doesn't have another economic purpose. Let's pay the landowner some rents, and then let's improve that land. We'll plant prairie plantings that have really deep roots, improve the soil over time, are encouraging of bees and stuff like that. Well, that sounds, well, what is that? Well, for one thing, the priority one, competitive electricity, greener electricity, but what more can you do?
Right.
And so we think about multiple uses of the land that we're granted the privilege by its owners to use.
You know, it's classic Connexus. I mean, you try to keep making it better, doing it right, and then doing it better than right, and that's the history of what Connexus Energy is. We are so blessed to have you in our region, Greg. Your people, and I have the opportunity to work with many of them, are people that step up. They ask, what can we do? How can we help? They know that the Anoka Area Chamber of Commerce is a place that does good things, and they want to help us and be involved. And that not only happens at the Anoka Area Chamber, but your people, you know, Connexus invests time in its region because you know that the better the region is, the better Connexus will be. And it's just such a wonderful partnership with the region.
We are absolutely linked to the community. The members are why we exist, but I would be remiss if I didn't close by saying how much we do appreciate what the Anoka Area Chamber does. Your folks are great. The opportunity to be with business people and figure stuff out with them we wouldn't otherwise maybe see. Just the value of the chamber. I know you didn't ask me about this. I just want to say it anyway. We very much appreciate being a member. Thank you so much.
Greg, I appreciate that. Greg Ridderbusch, he is the CEO of Connexus Energy. Connexus Energy is the 2021 Service Business of the Year award winner. And guess what? They've won more awards too. So, and no surprise, when you're one of the best, it's nice that they get some recognition. And here's the deal. Connexus isn't looking for that recognition. They just want to do the job. And that is their history, and it's what they do. And we are proud to have them as part of the Anoka Area Chamber of Commerce. Greg, as this whole crazy world that is electricity and utilities and what's happening, and as some things start to happen, can we get you on the show sometime down the road and give us an update?
That's a definite yes. We'd love to.
Great. Greg, thank you so much. All right, we're taking a break. We've got one more piece on our member profile segment, and it's somebody who runs this place, and it's not me, and we'll do it right after this.